One thing that I used to love doing as a dealer is looking for ways to game the algorithm on the marketplaces. Legitimately, there's a lot of things you can do to improve your performance and beat your competitors. You're in charge of these algorithms. What are the best practices that people can do in order to have their listings show up at the top? Any clever tricks here that you can share with us?
Sure. Yeah. We have a thing called a dealer experience report. And so you can basically see kind of like, how are consumers talking about you in the market? How are they rating you? How you treat them in the store? Did you respond to their lead in a timely manner? We factor all that stuff into our algorithm. So it's really easy to kind of say, just drop your price. Look at your competitive set, look at your inventory, and just like hit that rock bottom price and you're going to get more leads. Okay. There's truth in that. But we've tried to design an algorithm that kind of takes your whole experience and bakes it into the way that you're going to get ranked. At the end of the day, price the vehicle in a fair way. We have price badges on our site. Is this a hot car? Is it in demand? You'll be able to know that whenever you're listing inventory on cars.com. Is it a great deal, good deal? That's based on dynamic demand index and pricing index that we have on the site. And then the third piece is consumer experience. If you're not treating people well and that comes through in the way that you're showing up on the site, you're going to get penalized for it. And then the fourth thing is like, if you've got inventory and metal that you need to move, make sure that you're like promoting that as effectively as possible. People don't know what they want. We have a lot of dealers who are kind of like, well, I'm going to put 10 of my cars on the site, but I'm not going to put these other 10 on the site. And at the end of the day, you're presupposing what's going to drive demand and interest or what's not. And a lot of times these consumers, 80% of the time, they don't know exactly what they're looking for. New, used, price point, all the things that we presuppose that they do, actually don't. Put as much inventory on the site as you possibly can, which sounds like it's on our self-interest, but basically consumers are coming to us out of a place of, I want you to be the market equalizer. If you're kind of misrepresenting a piece of the market or only a segment of the market, then they're not going to have that trust and they're going to just like keep looking. And dealers want consumers to make a decision. So a few things that are pretty basic. Again, like there's not a silver bullet, but it's like pretty basic.
What about not basic? Have you seen any dealers do any badass things that you're like, okay, well, this maybe requires a bit more investment, anything like that?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that, we think are really impactful whenever dealers do it and embrace it. One is tout your salespeople and their expertise. So like integrate that into the experience. If consumers pick a salesperson at the time that they're interested in a vehicle, they're 3 times more likely to close on that car. So it's like increases your close rate substantially, but that takes a lot of effort on the dealer's part. So that's one, represent your sales force and their expertise effectively on the marketplace. And then I would say kind of the second thing that, is less talked about piece is be participating in things like, I want to acquire all the inventory that I can. As a dealer, that may sound antithetical, but we have a lot of trade-in capabilities. And a lot of times consumers are just trying to understand, like, what's my car worth? And if you can open up that conversation in an authentic way with the consumer, if they're getting rid of a vehicle, they need to buy one as well. And if you can be that place that takes that car from that consumer, your ability to then engage in a conversation about a sale goes up exponentially. And I think those are two things that are a little bit untapped in the market right now because it does require more effort.
Yeah, it expands your surface area as well, because you're able, like you said, to get in front of more consumers. I used to have this obsession with studying VDPs. So for anyone that's not familiar with the term, like a vehicle detail page, just pretty much fancy term for the page where you actually see a vehicle on a marketplace or a dealer's website. I remember when I saw Carvana start adding those cards every like 3 or 4 cars. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where like on pictures, they would put like suddenly an ad. And I was like, these guys are slick. I like that. You have such a captive audience at that moment. It's like a podcast ad in the middle. I mean, it's no different. Like the person is already in the groove and it's like, boom, hit them with a card, boom. So I thought that was pretty slick. I have to imagine that impacts conversion pretty well.
Totally. Yeah. And there's a lot of things like that. So like we're always, we have media products that basically are like contextual advertising that dealers can participate in. Like, I want to boost this vehicle and like, but only with these types of people who are looking for these types of things. And that works extremely well. Or if you're, like you said, looking at photos of a car, if you're looking at inventory, maybe you're interested in something similar to that, even if it's at the same dealership. Vehicle buying has like a bifurcated funnel, meaning like you start thinking you know what you want, and then you realize everything that's out there, and then you basically start researching again, and then you make a decision. So as a dealer, if you're not there at each of those moments in time, you're missing out, and somebody else is. So you've got to be in the middle of that mix. People know like more about the socks that they buy than about the cars that they're looking at sometimes, So it's like you gotta meet people where they are.